co-founder of Brand Assembly. I thought I'd tell you a little bit about my story of how I started the company. I started it 7 years ago, and I actually started it as a back office service provider to small designers. I'd worked for really large brands, and I wanted to leverage some resources and knowledge to do the things that they don't necessarily like to do or aren't, the best executors at. I had been arranging a collective of brands out here in Los Angeles for a while when I started working at Rachel Zoe. And when I started the back office business, I had already grown this collective of brands to 18. And I said, well, this probably could be another part of the business. And that's kind of how the show started 7 years ago, was, here at the Cooper Design Space, very organic, and had great brands, that were part of that original collective, and some of them are here still 7 years later. So that's kind of how the show started, very, very organic process, and now we have New York as well, which we launched just over 2 years ago. So Brand Assembly started as a back office service provider, and what that meant and still means is that we do all the logistics and back ends for small to mid-sized brands, helping them with organization of sales data, actually assisting in managing the warehouse, doing EDI, which is a scary acronym for a lot of brands, and kind of overseeing their bookkeeping, executing their bookkeeping, advising them on financial plans and budgets. Recently, we brought in some new team members. We're expanding our services into merchandising and production planning, helping them with time and action calendars, really analyzing the past business to optimize their lines and collections going forward, digital marketing strategies. So those are kind of all the other services that we're expanding into and already have started to over the last couple months. We also have a co-working space here in LA and also one in New York, which is again that same concept of community and getting people in this space together. So what's unique about Brand Assembly is that when I started to do or create a show, I had been participate in many trade shows, and I wanted it to be a different experience. Like, there's many components of the trade show that I thought weren't friendly enough or inviting enough, and we had put together a great community of brands already, so the feeling of the show visually and how we curate the brands, we wanted to make sure that that kind of community vibe was there. And that's why we do open floor plan. It's great for the buyers too to have no barriers of entry when they're looking to discover new products, with the big booth build outs and things like that. So I think that's what our brands really enjoy, is that kind of community-centric open vibe. It also puts all the brands on the same playing field. So you could have a very large brand next to an emerging brand, and it really allows the product to speak for itself and also just like those relationships to form. As I mentioned, community is really important to us, and sometimes, I say we curate the people more so than the brands, because that's really the vibe that we want to kind of cultivate in this space. We also just want to treat people like they are here in part and participants, and not just people that we're just processing paperwork for. So we always make sure that we have amazing amenities, that we're walking around and talking to the brands about their experience. Instead of them just paying for a slab of concrete, we really want it to make that very friendly experience that makes them want to come back, and even recommend the show to other brands. It's great to be here in the Cooper Design Space. It was like the original place that we started 7 years ago, and I'm sure you saw upstairs is just a beautiful venue. Lots of convention centers don't necessarily have a lot of natural light and high ceilings, and so when we go to different venues, that's really what we're looking for, because we want those venues to be extensions of our original location here at the Cooper Design Space in LA. So everything we have to do is has some form of natural light or brightness, lightheartedness to it. So that's really important to us. I have two co-working spaces, one here in Los Angeles and another one in New York. And the idea isn't just for brands to show their product, but it's really people within the community, whether it's a freelancer, a merchandiser, even an influencer. We even have some hair and makeup artists that come and work out of this space, because again, all those people touch on this industry. So it's a great community place. We also do programming and workshops in those co-working spaces as well. And some of those programs we do off-site as well, just to kind of spread spread our knowledge and spread our excitement about getting all these people together. So Brand Assembly, I started, with $10,000 that I put into the business, and it's organically grown. What I knew, people ask me all the time is like, how did you know that it was going to be successful? And I never think of it still being successful, but we've grown a lot. And I think you just have to put those fears away, but have realistic expectations of how much money things are going to cost. And especially in the fashion industry, yes, you can see overnight successes, but that's not the norm. And I think just being prepared to know how many seasons that it's going to take to really get your product out there, do trade shows, invest in meeting people and going to events, and not just setting it and forgetting it is really, really important, because it does take a lot of work. There's many more brands nowadays, less market share, so the opportunity for large brands and large growth is not as big as it was when I started in this industry 17 years ago. So it's a different market, it's a different industry at this moment, but it's exciting, and I think that's what the fun thing is about this day and age. I think when we look at brands that participate in our trade show, what we're looking at is not too much competition within a same product category. So we don't have 10 denim brands, we don't have 15 t-shirt brands, and if we do have multiples in that category, they're different. So if a denim, it's more casual, or it's organic or sustainable, and then we'll have maybe a sexy European denim line. So it's really that those nuances within categories what I think really makes a good curated show, instead of having too much repetitiveness. And like I said, it all also always comes down to the people. We talk to everybody before we actually even put them into the show. Whether it's an amazing brand or a brand that we're not too sure of, we want to make sure that the people are the right fit as well. I think the key to the longevity of how we've been doing this is that everything that I do, I'm passionate about, and it's fun for me to actually do it. So when it starts feeling like a job, that's when I don't think the essence of Brand Assembly really comes through. So every show that we do, every activation that we do, it's something that I think I enjoy, but also I know that my team enjoys as well, and I think that's really what kind of comes through in everything that we do.